99 Days of Christmas, 0 to 600K. What? In going to 600K, every tech founder has gone through 600K, but do they really remember how they did it? Unclear. So when we. Good morning. I can hear you. I heard you for a millisecond. I'll wait. I don't think I'm on mute. I can hear you now. You? Are you not getting this? You cut in and out. I've heard you twice, if you can hear me. With consent, being able to ask a yes, definitely question, which is, do I have your consent to take notes? Always assume that your microphone is hot. Always. Oh, actors. They never know when their mic is hot, which is always. Am I on mute? I'm switching to having a plan B. Having a plan B. Hold on. How about now? No, yes. Muting. Hello? I don't think I'm on mute. Wes, can you hear me? Hey! Does this work now? How do I unmute myself? Oh, here we go. I was on before. I was on. Wes, how are you? Consent to record my side of the conversation. No, but that's a funny question because it's like, do I have your consent to take notes? And you're like, can I say no? That's when, and then it's a temperature check for if the guy's even listening, right? Right? I mean, it's a podcast. Of course, you can record your half, right? But that's a temperature check because if they're like, and this is when I catch a lawyer, or is when I'm like, do I have your consent to take paper notes? And as soon as the lawyer's like, no, 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 and you're like, thank you for letting me know that you do not interface with the National Association of Attorneys General, nor the local district attorney, because as a athlete, semi-pro of color, I need to know every DA and AG in every city I go to, because that's my first phone call for when you incorrectly arrest me, right? Speaking of which, that's what happens when you're a part-time pastor, which I looked you up, right? Yeah, and so what you're doing there is you're sandbagging. You're sandbagging by saying, "Oh, I'm, plan Z for fundraising. I'm people's plan E." I've been recruited to, "Hey, you're good with kids. Do you want to head up our youth ministry?" Are you joking me? Like, one, me with kids. Two, kids in general don't creep me out, but like it's that cliche like youth director like scandal. Plus, why am I being recruited when I myself would be skipping out on church if I had to go talk at church, right? And so there's a litany of WTFs where, I mean, being recruited, thank you, but like then going to, accountability or like, how's my walk going? Average at best. And that what that is like a very Jesus Christian extinction burst. Like, how obnoxious are you on the cross? Where are you really getting enough oxygen? Not really. Have I ever been crucified before? Not exactly. But I can't imagine having to sell to thieves where I'm like, do I really want to give it my best go here? These dudes, stole my bike and stole my horse. Not that, the bike had been invented yet, but, and then for him to only bat 500, like where only one of the thieves won, because I'd be like, darn it, I don't want you to accept my message because I was hoping. That's a ginormous close rate. Happy to have met you real quick at the party that I've gone to 4 years in a row. Yeah. How loyal am I in going to that party? Where the party for, like, it's a good party, and like I try to say hi with to no benefit of myself, just two or three people, and I try to also find wallflowers. You guys, Mike and your Wes and Greg, we're not wallflowers. You guys seem like the popular kids in the room, so I was like, I'll go say hi to these guys. But I also did say hi to wallflowers because it makes the party, it's Susan Rowan's How to Work a Room, right? It's just being a good party attendee. And then before you know it, people are like, are you the landlord? Are you the host? Or are you going from Crasher to VIP? Because I wasn't even eating because I didn't know that they had a full spread. This is the first year they've had a full spread. I mean, that was a full spread where you could have just waited till 9 o'clock to eat full spread dinner, which is why people weren't killing the tomahawk ribeye. Well, you almost need to do that for the business model of New Year's Eve. You almost need to do that as the business model for New Year's Eve, which is, which is, and I need to figure out a reason to charge you $500 for a tasting menu versus, oh, normally a ribeye is $60. How about I charge you 240? Like that just doesn't, because then people are like, what? But if you're like, hey, I'm gonna have 9 courses of subpar that is weird food. Are you in? Well, okay, I'm in. I want to hear about it. the Yeti joke of a business, that's actually the page of notes that I re-updated on the website Duck9. Because yeah, that's actually right out of the stream here, which is chapter 66 of Snowball, the Warren Buffett book. Because get it, there's only chapters 1 through 64, and then 66 is like a joke franchise, which that's what Yeti is. Like, you talk about that like a joke because I realized that the founding seemed like it was a joke, but that's literally what founders did when they're like, let's charge an exorbitant amount of money for a very below average thing, which is Yeti. And we can benefit because this 0 to 2 is how Duck9 started. We were literally sitting in a basement of a, boring, stodgy company going, yeah, we're rich, but what kills this arbitrage? What kills this financial planning business? What what kills it? And it's the internet executed by a kid in a basement using a cartoon logo. Where we're like, yeah, because that's all we do is credit education, where I'm reading you a book on SAT prep, but it's not the SATs, it's FICO. You can do that with a website, which is what we're doing on YouTube now, which is also that web page, which is basically the joke concept of multi-level marketing, except it's not a pyramid scheme and it's not a Ponzi. It's just one to one. And then if you find a person who wants to pay you $600 for your SAT to score up, well, $12 book. For your FICO to go to 800, well, here's a $8 book. Charge whatever you want. Here's all the content. And that joke website, if we don't do it, after me and my buddy, the junior congressman, senator from the state of Illinois, passing legislation, House Resolution 627, the Credit Card Act, with my friend Barack Obama. I know. Do you like how I just weaved that right in? If we don't do that, United College Marketing Services Duck9 is toast. So if we don't do that joke business, we are out 9 figures. So that Yeti story, that's what Warren Buffett refuses to teach people, because that's what they do teach you at Columbia Engineering, because he went to Columbia for business. That's chapter 65, Columbia Engineering as a springboard. I even have the book on me. I'm just showing off for you, Wes. Normally I'm not this well organized. What's one of them? And this is the point in the video where you go, this is where you do the why before the what. Uh, uh. How student athlete at my safety college do I seem right now with is this a label or is this a book report? And something that's fun and hilarious is I'm not charging $400 for the course of, hey, how do I answer? What do I do for money? I'm not charging 400 bucks. Guess what I'm charging, Wes? Guess what I'm charging? Think Yeti. I'm charging $1,450 for that course. Hey, what do you do? Oh, thanks for asking. Are you asking what I do for the community or are you asking what I do for money? And then you say one of two things. You have to because I porcupined your question, right? I'm giving you two options and it's not a period. Now it's kind of a question period statement. That's the $1,450 wrapper. And if they win one deal, they'll tell me how they won the deal by doing one YouTube video. And then I will give them back $775. Right? And so now you could do 400 and go 200, 200. And then you can obviously take a part of that money where people are like, no, no, no. Your new onboarding method for my funnel has now been made better. Why don't you go ahead and keep it? No, we have a deal. Like I said, I'd give you the money back. And then they'll be like, no, 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 I insist. If they insist 3 more times, then you're like, okay, well, mother scratcher, you should let me keep that money because I had to work hard, blah, 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 right? And now you've got a friend for life, or you roll it into, okay, well, let's just spend 1,500 on a future thing, blah, 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 right? Together. And now you've got a springboard, which is chapter 66 of Warren Buffett's Snowball, which is pushing the snowball down the hill, but he actually never gets the snowball going, which is why I had to write chapters for him. Yeah, it's chapter 65, Columbia Engineering, which is Springboard. Chapter 66 is Faux Franchise, which is a joke business. And selling a landing page, selling a cooler, selling your course for 400 bucks, which can be made more expensive, and how to do what Larry Chang does without having to pay me 1,450 bucks. And so now they're reading it with a dollar goal in mind, right? And then what happens when that happens? They're motivated as if they paid tuition. Sure. What is comedy? Comedy is the interruption of the expected. You think the person wearing the Stanford University basketball program booster hat or Stanford football is going to have intelligent stuff to say. But it turns out every genius thing that I'm about to drop is a regurgitation from some other genius dude. This is stuff that I wish I knew when I attended the University of Illinois and had terrific mentors assigned to me. And that's what comedy is an interruption of the expected. They the advisors or they the target investor. Financial financial pun intended, inherited a vision, inherited a business model, and we've always done it this way. Well, I'm gonna dovetail five things with the Elon Musk cake, with Blockbuster, with financial advising, because who are you looking at that is a semi professional financial advisor to sorority girls that are older than 17 and a half and younger than 23? This guy, right? Scary and youth pastor jokes. Put a pin in. Thank you because of your part-time work as a pastor and me being incredibly fearful of having my childhood pastor sit in the front row anxiously waiting to take notes. Yeah, oh, I this is just a quick. There you go. Checkbox checking these checks. When Elon Musk is talking about the cakes, your analogy, not mine, what we're doing is we're just paste copying somebody else's recipe. You said waste management because Wayne Huizinga, prior to waste management, you said Blockbuster. And do you see how I stepped on my own punchline? But that's okay because Blockbuster is a roll up of mom and pop video stores. Waste management is a roll up of garbage collectors like Keith Rott's Disposal, which is a great name for a garbage company. Keith Rott, yeah, he ended up going to his Reach College, Northwestern, and I ended up skipping Stanford and going to the University of Illinois. And the focus of this is Elon baking a cake, sequel businesses. Because it turns out all these businesses are prequels and sequels to Shiitake that we were surprised that it was a sequel or a prequel, just like Blockbuster. We try to joke about Blockbuster, but it turns out the joke's on us because Wayne Huizenga was hitting print copy. Ditto MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, Oakbrook, Oakbrook, Oakbrook. I'm kind of showing off right now with just being Oakbrook centric because you said Blockbuster, and then Michael Saylor, the guy who does the zero coupon bonds in a infinite money printing. So it turns out he does know what he's talking about as an aerospace engineer because Wayne Huizenga connects to Michael Saylor from Oakbrook, Illinois, because what is Saylor doing? He is writing software to better sell a cheeseburger. Sorry, it just makes me happy. It just makes me happy. I don't know why that makes me so happy. I don't know why that makes me so happy. Come on, you're writing software to sell a cheeseburger? There's software to repair an ice cream machine. And this is an external API because the ice cream machine, get it, it's always broken. And then so we get to fix things that are broken, yet we only need software. We don't need money. And so tying this back to financial advisory is, as a sorority girl, do you want a guy to come in and tell you that your Victoria's Secret credit card bill needs to be addressed? Right? No, because you're like, what do you know about female issues in going from 0 FICO to 750? What do you know about it? Do you know anything about it? Well, I know that I can make you guys dinner. Oh, what do you got to do? What do we got to do? How many financial advisors use dinner as the hook? Not zero, right? Right? So you host a dinner. Ooh, is this one of those financial advisory dinners where you're going to be selling me a zero coupon bond with no recourse, just like MicroStrategy? Maybe. That's the food for lead gen. So we're trying to do whatever we can to get a foot in the door for, hey, I know other people do something similar to what we do. Would you like a ebook? Would you like a cookie? Would you like a video series on what they don't teach you in engineering school about financial planning, or what Elon Musk knows about baking a cake via financial advisory as it pertains to how we as financial advisors can start up? Because what Elon did was paste copy yellow pages onto a web page. And so maybe we as financial advisors who are trying to get more distribution, maybe we are editing video that already exists. Maybe we are editing a New Year's Eve party and putting a prequel party to it next year. Did I just start a joke franchise with you? Maybe, because that party 9 to 1, people rolled in at 10:30 and then there's a full spread. Why don't we, in fact, me, you, Greg, and Mike, we four are going to co-found the Fairmont New Year's Eve pre-party. 8 o'clock to 8:55, 7th floor. And you laugh because people would come to that. How much is it? How much was it? $300. But if you say one positive thing about something that you learned, I'll give you all $300 back. Wait a minute. That seems too good of a deal to be true. And if they're happy with it, be like, oh yeah, the $1,450 I charge you, the $300 I charge you, just roll in a cover charge. And that's something that you remember, which is at 8 o'clock, you're hosting a party, not for 5 hours, and then people are gonna get it confused who produced the party because you're going to be promoting the party, and whoever promotes the party ends up merging and acquiring, you know, yeah. I like it. Faux franchise. That's chapter 70 of Warren Buffett's Snowball, because how many people in Omaha are rich? Actually, not that many, because Warren Buffett is so demoralizing. And that's why I'm wearing the Stanford hat, because two dudes wrangled me to solve the problem of why is it at Stanford University our students are evaluating us poorly. At a public school that I went to, the professors DGAF, what your opinion is. At Stanford, professors are stressed when their students don't rate them 5 stars. What are we at, a Yelp review? So that's what students complain about is don't teach me to be a billionaire, teach me some initial steps. And that's chapter 70, which is how do I go from 0 to 6.15? How do I go from 0 to 2? How do I go from 0 to 1? Okay, grounded optimism, savage persistence. Can you repeat the two? Grounded optimism. And then what's the follow on question to that? What is your ideal? What was that question that you followed it up with? I love that because because to tie in four dangling points together into the super point, which I've spent the holidays thinking of since every day felt like Saturday for 18 days, is the difference between rich people and regular people is that the morning routine is all day for a rich person. Like where you're doing your silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and then scribing. Hal Elrod wrote a great book. But rich people, their morning routine is 24 hours. Whereas other people, their morning routine is 25 milliseconds. And then so with the persistence of what comes first, the egg or the chicken, which is our effort as early financial advisors, where instead of selling your friends or your relatives on whatever financial products, how do we talk to strangers in our savage persistence to lead generate 3 new people, or CRM, customer relation management, 6 new people, or convert the hey, what do you do into 3 leads, because people always discount like sororities. Oh, do you just talk to entire sororities? You talk to 200 girl sorority at the University of Illinois, and half the people sign up for credit cards. That's not how it started. How it started was we would hand out at a table, we would hand out a 2 liter bottle of soda or a slice of pizza, and then people would be like, you have my phone number, but I want to unsubscribe, right? Like I got the credit card app where, the phone number, not even taking a credit card app. Then we have the don't break up with Duck 9 yet. Do 4 things before we break up of this email, of this text message relationship. These are the 4 things you need to do. And they're all hook, 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 in the same way that, you were talking about the tax, the tax, the tax prep. Huge, huge. Can you short a black box? Can you straddle a calendar year? Hook, 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 for a person who just arrived from New York, California, now trying to gamify the game of tax. I almost said a particular kind of tax, but this is comedy. This is not financial advice. which is which is which is we get to we get to not necessarily we get to do we get to do creative things. You have to lead with that. You have to lead with that. So sorority girls handing hot hot girl entrepreneurship club, hot girl sales club. They're not just throwing you their phone number because they're guarded with that and they want another step before that. Leading with the why is, hey, do you realize that strength and security comes from a high FICO score? Would you like to live rent free while all your friends are spending 1,500 bucks? Do you realize that interest is the largest expense you'll ever pay in your life? Do you think you'll ever be on the correct side of the interest rate equation? Getting paid interest versus paying interest. How do we do this at $0? And so when you lead off with hook, 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 it needs to be the whole adage with them. What's in it for me? Which is why problem exploration and and the 5 ego warning signals of a person, which is changing job, changing geographic locations, changing family status, changing relationships, change in money, change in job. And so when they iron, or not even iron out a problem, if they prequel a problem, that's where we, oh my god, this is me showing off right now. This is PQRSTing their problem by, so the why, PQRST, preview, question, read, summarize, test. Preview, question, read, summarize, test. So where you're leading off with the why, or you're hunting hooks, you're trying to speed up onboarding with preview, question, read, summarize, test. By, because every rich person has their own cliche set of shiitake. I mean, I'm not going to be flippant about it because I am a semi professional financial planner. I only deal with sorority girls. We've never diversified into anything else. We've only done sorority girls. Can we do fraternity guys? I love gender specific education, which is why if you saw on social media, what did you see my bio was? Did you see it? Can you repeat it? I'll say it so you don't have to repeat it. I'll say it, okay? Vagina whisperer. Do you know that my people that raised me, we'll call them Tom Chang and Carol Chang, my dad and mom, okay? They're Christian and they see this stuff and they're like, I cannot believe that you get away with this shit. Ever since you're a kid, like you're at Young Life doing crazy shit. I'm like, did it break any laws? Well, no. Did it break any rules? Well, no. What is Vagina Whisperer? It's not Pussy Magnet. It's not. Everyone thinks it is because my mom and dad were trying to get me to not be as much of the second phrase. And so what that is focusing on in one sentence realizing that brain chemistry is altered via how we were born inside of the two genders. And that is a scandalous statement, but I went ahead and solved all of LGBTQ TT plus issues by also doing some similar whispering. What was the first thing that I whispered? Is my mentor, Augie Garrido, yelling at me and then me not listening. So the first retard I had to whisper to was myself. So if we're doing financial planning, before I got in this industry, I was confused about Rule 83B filings for stock grants. Do you have an issue with that? Oh, shit. Yeah. And do you see how, like, that's a one call close, and maybe that's just showing off, but people are annoyed with specific page citations, but people tolerate it if I can show you how to make $1,450 before you pay me $1,450 for my course. How do you explain what it is that you do? That you sell Wes Young for $400. And if I can show you how to make or keep Stanford GSB, it's kind of expensive. It's pressing 300 grand. What if you could get $275,000 before you go to GSB? And now me and Irv Grosbeck are on a not just a first name basis. Irv Grosbeck knows my full name because nobody ever can believe it. It's like if Tom Brady were to know your full name at a party, where not only are we friends, okay, he would be like, "Is that Larry Chang?" Which is what I don't teach at Stanford. I get taught at Stanford because now Stanford student athletes that are baseball players, they will treat me like the mentee. Because when we're trying to sell financial services, who needs to do the teaching? The client. You need to tell me about how remedial you are with your sorority girl knowledge. Oh, I didn't know that a $200 parking ticket, which started off at 15 bucks, is going to keep me from owning a house for free, right? These are the countermeasures. A stamp. That's like, you need to teach me. And so Stanford baseball players are obnoxious. They'll constantly be not one upping me, but conjoined with this. Or they'll say, "Is that Larry Chang?" And then the entire stadium is like, why are kids talking to you? Because the algorithm, just like social media has changed, the algorithm for talent evaluation it has also changed because now scouts can see that you're connecting with a dude who's 40 years old plus, well, definitely 30 plus, right? Now, get it? Because you're trying to be more mature than you are. You're telling some old dude baseball knowledge. Like, what is going on here? Like, because that's not normally seen. Normally, it's the fans saying something positive. Now you've got the baseball player saying, parentheses, did I do it right? But they're really saying, hey, you saw that right. I learned that from blah, blah, blah person. Because what you're doing is you're juxtaposing who the advisor is. Because if you want to sell a limited partner, tell me of when it didn't go well. Tell me the 35 instances of when it did not go well. Oh, you've had financial advisors? Let me guess. Based on your level of income and your wealth, you've been burned by four of them. And now you self manage. And then people be like, what? And that's just what happens when you're 60 years old or 50 years old is you've been burned by, some single digit number of them. And now and that's where you're flipping who the mentor is and who the mentee is. And when you do that for sports, your draft algorithm goes higher because I can't tell who the coach is and I can't tell who the mentee is. I can't tell. And then when that happens, when some assistant coach running video for a football game tells you on Tuesday during some meeting, you can apply it to win on Saturday NFL playoff day because they spent 16 years watching video or 16 hours and you get that information in 3 minutes. Ditto their life before they met you, the guru financial advisor. Ditto you. And now you're flipping who you're flipping. And so am I also now explaining what Vagina Whisperer is? Yes, because the sorority girl is teaching me on the 650 different ways that a girl under 24 goes bankrupt via a special kind of hot girl bankruptcy, which is a charge off. And so now I have this library. And how valuable is that library if I am executing via a conversation a bibliography? It's super valuable, and you're like, I'm not buying shit all from you, but how about I buy you dinner so I don't feel bad? Because if you're coming to my dinner, you're going to be like, oh, he's going to sell me something. Hey, you mentioned 3 tax things, Rule 83B, the blah, blah, the blah, blah, blah. I want to meet with you, but I'm not buying shit all. It's kind of like Vagina Whisperer hat on, borderline pussy magnet. Larry Chang, I'll go out on a date with you, but we're not sleeping together. I just want to pick your brain. Let's do that. Let's do that in front of your whole sorority so that way there'll be 140 other girls to make sure that we don't sleep together and that there's accountability for us being sexually appropriate in this relationship. Yes, yes. In under 40 seconds, I will try to bullet point 8 things. One, not being in the moment. Two, setting aside your ego and being okay with not being great. Next bullet point is pen to paper. I wasn't showing off when I took notes during this podcast, but I can't tell you how many times people sitting baseball, watching baseball in a meeting. When you take notes on a phone, you kill everything. You kill, not in a good way. Kill. I can sit at a baseball game, take notes. If I take 3 pages of notes, I'll get 3 job offers. And I'm horrible. I'm horrible at baseball. I am not a good baseball coach simply because I have no baseball coaching experience. In fact, as a player, I didn't even listen to my coach. But what happens when I wrote things down in this connection? Magic happens, and I don't know why people have become so dependent on their smartphone. The last bullet point is setting aside, it's a terrific Christian thing, which is why when Christians tithe, there's like an abundance. When we don't need the deal to close, like I don't need a baseball job offer. It embarrasses me, and I even tell scouts, F you. I'm like, and I literally use the FUCK because they know that I love them because now we're best friends. Because I'm like, hey, screw you for giving me that compliment because now I'm just going to tell you everything I know about every Stanford kid and what they need to do, how they need to get better. And you're manipulating me. Stop throwing me job offers. And then they're laughing even more. And then they joke even more, which is, hey, 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 this guy should be like our new, special snowflake assistant general manager who's basically my boss's boss. Oh, by the way, Larry, does Drew Dowd, does he start because he's in relief right now? What does he need to do to get 2 steps better? And so that's what we can be open to. That's what we can be open to literally level up. And then also a hobby. Like, why doesn't our hobby dovetail springboard perfectly to what we do already, which is, run club for people who hate running and financial planning? Run club. I think going to a D1 baseball game, I mean, even a high school baseball game, but being invited to the athletic director was like, hey, you're such a good baseball fan. Um, will you come to watch women's volleyball? I was like, athletic director, we'll call him Bernard Muir because that's his name. I travel with the Stanford baseball team. I see them. I'm in the hotel. I don't think girls volleyball is the appropriate thing, right? It's and so to connect, I mean, we should vibe for a book club where one of the books that a person has and has not read, we can connect over a book versus a one-to-one coffee, which is you talk, I talk. And this conversation's been great. But for people that haven't talked, where you saw that if you would have had a book, I would have bought and read that book in the same way the why before the what, in the same way for labels or book reports. So you said book report. So to connect, we and everybody else can do book club. And book club is not the old way 15 people, half the people didn't read the book, everybody's talking about it. We do book club where we read a chapter, and then we do a 30-second video up to a 4-minute video recapping each chapter. So 650-283-8008, or just via social or on YouTube, where you do a 30-second to 4-minute video and I do a video of a non-fiction book, preferably about business. Mastering the Money Game, Tony Robbins, the Ray Dalio book, Principles, whatever book. Even if I've read it already, we can reread it and go chapter by chapter. Warren Buffett Snowball. Let me ask you this. What would it take for your business to double?